Okay, well, welcome back. We're still in 2-9%. Okay, today in this video, what we're going to talk about is solving percent problems using percent equation and to solve the simple interest problems. Okay, which will be pretty much using kind of that same idea as percent equation. Okay, no academic standard again, and our key concept today is the simple interest formula. So the simple interest formula is a way to figure out how much interest you will make or maybe you owe on a specific amount of money. Okay, so the formula is I equals PRT. Okay, interest represents the I. So I equals the interest, which is like how much you're going to make. P is your principal. Okay, this could be the amount deposited. Okay, so how much did you deposit? Okay, R is the rate as a decimal. Okay, and T is the time in years. Okay, so as we work this problem out, we see that you deposit $840 in the savings account that earns a simple interest rate of 4.5% per year. You want to keep the money in the account for 4 years. How much interest will you earn? So as soon as we know that it's a simple interest problem, we need to be writing up I equals PRT. And then what we want to do is jot down the important information. 840, which represents deposit, which means that's our principal. Okay, that was one of the words that we noted there in the last slide. So we know P is 840. We earn a simple interest rate of 4.5% per year. Now in the last video we talked about how percent is not a decimal. So this says 4.5%, but that's not a decimal. It looks like a decimal, so I see the decimal, but it's as a percent. So we actually have to move it back 2 spots, which means that we really have 0.045 as our rate. Okay, you have to move that back. Even though that looks like a decimal, it has that percent symbol, which means that it has to go back 2 spots. The last missing value is time. Well, they told us it was 4 years, so we know it's 4. That's all the pieces we need. So we can just go ahead and write up I equals 840, put in parentheses 0.045, okay, and then times 4. Now as you multiply this stuff together, really because multiplication is commutative, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to multiply the last 2 first because those are kind of the decimals and stuff. I get 0.18, and 840 times 0.18 gives me 151.20, which means that my interest earned is $151.20. Okay, so I earn that much more. So if I had 840, I would add this to that amount, and that would be how much I had in my savings account. But this is how much I would earn. Okay, so example 5 here says that you deposit $650 in a savings account that earns a simple interest rate of 5% per year. Okay, you want to keep the money for 5 years. How much will you earn? Okay, I have example 5 up here, and I need to change it because it's actually in our notes as example 6. Okay, sorry about that. As we go through again, we're talking about simple interest. So we're going to write I equals PRT. And let's label the values we know. Okay, I know that I deposit $650, so I write that down. I know my rate is, again, let's think about this, it's 5%. What do you think it's going to be? If you said 0.05, you would be right. We have to change that back. So it was 5%, boom, boom, move it back 2 spots. Okay, and time in years, well, we said 5 years. If that wasn't in years, we'd have to write it. Okay, so if we said, 4 months, we have to write that as a fraction. How much is 4 months of a year? Okay, and then we write this as I equals 650. The rate was 0.05, and we multiply that by 5. And as we go through, we get 650 times 0.25, and as we multiply that, we're taking 1/4 or a quarter of 650, which gives us 162.50. All I did was multiply those together and then move my decimal place 2 spots because I have 2 decimals, okay, which means that I earn $162.50. Okay, that's simple interest. That's all you need to know, is just to be able to write that up, fill in what you know, and then look for what you don't know. And sometimes you may have one of these values missing. Well, then you just fill in the pieces that you know and then solve. So when we talk about solving for different for literal equations, that was the reason why. We might have to solve for t in this problem, which means we have to multiply p and r and divide it. Okay, so you have to know how to solve for a certain letter sometimes. So that was why we stressed about the literal equation section. Okay, so that's all we're doing for today. We'll talk about that tomorrow in class and do some homework problems and guided practice.